and you said that gold and silver, or particularly gold, I guess more particularly, has been a way of protecting yourself in a wealth transfer. Now, here's the question. In times past, gold has always been money. Today, I would have to struggle to find people who would call gold money. Would gold still be a useful way to protect yourself in a wealth transfer?
Well, when fiat currencies are failing, will they be calling gold money then? I believe that they will. Gold has always been money. It's, there's 6,000 years of history that says that gold and silver are the predominant form of currency throughout history, and it's only been the past 43 years that we've been on a global fiat standard, and there is no time before that in history that this has worked out. Fiat currencies have always failed. So I believe that the same thing is going to happen this time, especially when you see the recklessness of the world's central banks. The only thing keeping it all together is that it's coordinated recklessness. They're all
right
doing it. It's not one of them doing it so much more than the other that it triggers a complete collapse, which would cause a domino. I do believe, that I said in my book that the dollar would be the short-term beneficiary of problems with the euro, and we've been seeing that. I said in my book that there would be the threat of deflation, to which Ben Bernanke would overreact and do a big helicopter drop of currency, and that would cause a big inflation. And we've seen the reflation of the markets, and we've seen bonds and real estate and stocks go back into bubbles. And then I said next there would be a real deflation. That's basically the popping of the bond bubble that we're talking about, a contraction of the currency supply. And then I said after that, the world's central banks will probably print and print and print until they see deflation start to give way. But at that point, they will probably accidentally print us into a hyperinflation. I just don't think that the confidence in fiat currencies is going to last, because it does this stealth wealth transfer, and it transfers wealth from the poor and the middle class to the people in the financial sector, all the people that are riding around in limousines and work for Goldman Sachs and all these other companies, and the government. And eventually, when enough people see that that's what the game is that they're playing, the people will finally stop playing the game. And just as you and I have done, they will cash out, get off the grid, basically. And that should be the point that the government should fear most. The thing that I see, though, is that when everything really hits the fan, at that point, it'll be the spot price of gold and silver may be low, but you won't be able to get any.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 2008, we saw a tremendous divergence of the spot price and the price of delivered physical gold and silver in your hand. And it was a very, very large difference. It was very difficult for the dealers to find any gold or silver available for all the people that wanted to purchase. And that day is coming again. The people that wait until that day are just going to be out of luck. The people that were in gold and silver earlier are going to be able to sell at far, far higher prices than the quoted spot price. The quoted spot price in these particular times that I'm talking about of shortages sort of becomes a fictitious price.
So this is, I mentioned and asked you about sort of the global supply, looking at China buying 100% of mine output and all of that for gold. Now, this is the part I'm really keenly interested in, and I think people need to understand this. So there was a time when you and I were first sort of meeting, 2011-ish, and there was one of these big engineered drops in silver. It was just massive, And the way that the U.S. press likes to present these things is like, oh, silver's being sold. Investors just hate this stuff now. And that's the meme that gets pushed out there. But from your perspective, what I noticed was that your salespeople were scrambling and they're trying to fill orders. And that what I'm guessing is that of the few people who happen to be silver investors in the United States, out of the total population, I'll be generous, is that 1% of the people? So this one.
No, it's not nearly that.
No, I know I'm being very generous, but I'm using a round number because people hate fractions, right? So this 1% decides to go, you know what? I think I'm going to increase my holdings a little bit. The price looks good. And my perspective, and I'd love yours, but what I thought I saw from the outside was that completely swamped the ability of the pipeline, the silver pipeline, which goes from COMEX, the 1,000-ounce bars, into the mint, fashioning them into product people want, whatever those happen to be, ounces, rounds, bars, and then to the consumer, that delivery supply chain was swamped.
Yes, it did absolutely swamp the delivery system, and it caused severe shortages, and right away spreads went up, and the producers and the suppliers and the dealers all have to seek a supply-demand equilibrium. And when there is no supply and there's lots of demand, and they've got only a few ounces left that they're going to sell to somebody, they have to charge more. And so I was seeing silver, when silver was under $9. I know one dealer in Chicago that was selling 100-ounce bars for over $18 an ounce. And on eBay, I was seeing silver eagles up in the 30s when the spot price was under $9 back in 2008.
So that's like if suddenly we looked on COMEX or in the NYMEX and we saw that gasoline was trading for $1.50 a gallon, but you were looking around at your local stations and none of them had any to sell, but there was one station open, and he says it's $4. What's the actual price of gasoline in that moment? It's $4.
It's $4,
right? What are you going to do? So, but my point here is that the supply chain. So people, I think a lot of people are saying, when I really see gold and silver bottom and really begin to move in earnest, that's when I'm going to really start to lay in my positions. My advice is always don't wait for that moment. Don't wait, because the chances are that you will be quoted a price that can't be filled. There'll be somebody happy to tell you silver is $20 an ounce, it's $15 an ounce, it's $2, it's a cent. It doesn't matter. They'll tell you a price like that's the price, that's the official price, but you can't get any unless you're willing to pay many, many multiples of that. And so I believe that when this potential energy you've described of central bank printing, when people finally get it in their thick heads and go, oh, that doesn't look smart, and they decide they want to get out of their paper currency into other stuff. I don't care what that other stuff is. It could be Stradivarius violins. It could be farmland. It could be any real estate deal. It could be gold. It could be silver. It could be fine crystal baccarat. I don't care. But when people decide they need to get out, those doorways are tiny, really, really small, and it's very hard to do anything in that moment. And so my belief is that when this all cracks, we're going to discover that the gold and silver markets are actually quite tiny. I'm very concerned, Mike, that I've been hearing from refiners out of Switzerland in particular, tracking the bars that they're refining to recast into the 391 kilo bars that are going to Asia, that they're seeing older and dustier bars with serial numbers that are coming from the 60s in some cases and 50s, like really old stuff, like we're talking bottom of the vault kind of stuff. It just says that, and plus the negative GOFO, the GOLFO rate.
The gold forwards, yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing that there's among the bullion banks, there's a preference for gold that's so strong that they will pay you in order to lease your gold from you. I mean, it's just crazy, right? So
well, that says that there's already an extreme shortage, but for some reason it isn't showing up. The public can't see it yet. But when gold forward offered rates are negative like that, and this is the first time in a long time that we've had all three rates dip into negative territory. So there's something going on right now. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, there's going to come a day when we all try and squeeze through that door that I believe that gold and silver will go just astronomical. When you do any analysis of the quantity of currency that exists on this planet, and then the quantity of near currency, or near money as they call it, liquid things such as stocks and bonds, compared to the number of ounces of gold and silver, the prices that I get range from, when I wrote my book, they ranged from $6,000 an ounce to $200,000 an ounce. And today that top figure would be far higher than that because the number of financial assets out there is far higher. But, I'd like to sort of leave people with this, that if you really analyze it, gold and silver are really at a 5,000-year low. They have been either our money or connected with our currency, backing our currencies for 5,000 years. And governments have slowly sort of weaned us off gold and silver. And for the last 43 years is the first time in all of human history that gold and silver are not either our money or backing our currency. They have no connection with the global monetary system other than, people like Ben Bernanke say it's tradition to hold it. For some reason, central banks are buying it. But at the same time, after it went into a tiny little bubble in 1980, gold experienced a brutal bear market that lasted 20 years. And by the year 2000, investors gave up on it. So here you don't have any country on the planet wanting it or using it as their money, and no investor wanted it by the year 2000. And at the same time, we were in the NASDAQ bubble and such. There was no time in human history that paper assets were as overvalued and loved as during the tech bubble and the dot-com bubble. And so gold and silver are they're still just reasserting themselves. And if you look at gold as a percentage of global financial assets, it's still minuscule. It's not even on the radar. And when you see a financial commentator say that gold is in a bubble, to be in a bubble, people have to own it. And if you talk to your neighbors about gold and silver, most people will find that almost nobody actually owns any substantial amount of gold and silver. They don't, the percentage of their portfolio that's in gold and silver is either none or they, might have a few trinkets here and there. So the upside, I believe, is still enormous, but it isn't. As time goes on, I get more and more worried about our freedom and how disastrous this thing will be when it finally bursts because of the amount of stored energy.
Yeah. And
the more they put the inevitable day of reckoning off by currency creation and zero interest rates or negative rates, the worse it's going to be.
I totally agree with that. And that's been my concern all along is that, again, we're going to jump off the 20th rung of this stepladder instead of the third rung, and it's just going to be that much more painful. All because we didn't want to admit what was completely obvious. To anybody who's a student of history and particular looks at where we actually are in this particular narrative right now, fiat currencies have always failed for the same reasons. And it's not a math reason. There's no reason they can't work, but they fail for human reasons. The same reason that debasing coinage didn't work in Roman times, or printing money didn't work in Weimar times, or electronically making skrillions of zeros in current times on computers. It's all the same human reason, which is, gosh, wouldn't it be great if we could just cover up our prior policy errors by just printing a few things right now, and my career will be good. And it's just how humans are. So my belief...
And because politicians, to get elected, they've got to promise people something for nothing.
Yep. So my bearishness, as people call it, like, why are you so down on all this? Like, I'm not down on anything. I'm actually very bullish on the idea that humans are constant. They don't change.
I just hope we learn from our mistakes.
Well, there's always a hope in that. So we've been talking with Mike Maloney. He is the founder and owner of goldsilver.com and the author and producer of The Hidden Secrets of Money, a fantastic series. You got to watch it, because if you want to know where we're going, you got to know how we got here. To do that, you have to know our history. Hidden Secrets of Money will give you all of that and more. Mike, it's just such a fantastic series. Thank you for producing that.
Thank you very much for having me. It was great.
All right. Well, we'll have you on again, and thank you so much for your insights today.
Okay.